We don't want to watch I playing. Grr. Think about making better video besides you gameplay. This game is so bad and MP people need to think about things that did not happen. This build sucks tbh. Shotgun, that's only way to go. Good god, that's a weak build.
Oh, you think my previous builds were bad? You ain't seen nothing yet. The special for this build is 2 strength, 2 perception, 2 endurance, and 2 charisma. 1 intelligence, 3 agility, and 2 luck. The most important part about these special stats is that they're really low. This means you only need to hit level 8 to make this build. In fact, I didn't spend any of my levels after that, as I felt that would be cheating. Agility is our highest stat and intelligence is our lowest stat. Everyone loves min-maxing, as it's #the best, so you can think of this as a min-max build if you want, but it's not really. This build has perks. They apparently are a key part to making builds, but rest assured that there's only one correct way to play this game. After all, if you can't one-shot the Scorchbeast Queen, then how can you possibly have fun? So, in the strength tree, I have Gladiator and Travelling Pharmacy. These are easily the best 2 perks in the entire game. Literally every character must have a boost to one-handed melee damage, and Travelling Pharmacy is another perk I chose which I'm sure people want. Within Perception, we have Concentrated Fire at rank 2. This perk will change your entire life. If you were sick, you'll now be well. If you were unhappy, you'll be ecstatic. And if you were dead, then you'll come back to life. Being able to target limbs and VATS is something that we could do in every Fallout game, most prominently in Fallout Shelter, so it's essential to get this perk. I had Endurance sat at 2, so I figured it was best to only go for 1 perk. The perk I went for is Lead Belly, rank 1. This reduces the rads you take from eating and drinking, because nobody likes rads. They clog up your health bar, and who wants to see the colour red? It's got to be the worst colour out there, and any YouTube channel which has it as a key part of their branding is making a huge mistake. Charisma has the Inspirational and Bodyguards perks. Let's face it, you're going to want to play this game with friends. It's a multiplayer Fallout game, so that, by definition, means it's got to be terrible to play on your own. Unplayable, some people would say, or do say in a lot of places on the internet. Agility has 3 perks: Gunrunner, Gunslinger, and Through Hiker. I talked about these in last week's build, so go watch that one for all of the relevant information about the perks. Penultimately was Agility, but now we're on to Luck. Farmer and Can Do. I'm sure you all know what Farmer does, so I'll read it out anyway. 40% chance to find extra first aid chems when you search a chem container. This means that every time you use the search command on a container that has the possibility to contain chems, you get a 40% chance to find more chems. Or, to put it another way, there's a 2/5 possibility to uncover more chems inside of an object that has the possibility to contain chems. Not necessarily a container that has already had chems inside, but only has the option of containing them. Almost a Schrodinger's chems box. Can Do is the exact same thing, but instead of chems, it's for canned food, essentially giving you 8/20 more canned food added on to what you'd normally be able to scavenge from containers. As equipment for this build, we start with weapons instead of armour. Here I've included a hatchet, 10mm pistol, and laser pistol. Pew pew! These are chosen less for tactical or intelligent purposes, but more for the fact they can all be painted with tricentennial paint. This increases the weight of a weapon and also helps it stand out more, reducing camouflage and ensuring you're focusing more on style than stealth. By sheer coincidence, these weapons happen to work well for giving a bit of versatility. The laser pistol can easily be modded for a decent ranged weapon, the 10mm is good for mid to close spam fire, and the hatchet is your backup for if you run out of ammo or the enemy gets up in your face. For armour, you don't want to focus on the practical stuff, instead get that aesthetic nailed down, and just ignore anything that might keep you alive. After all, when you look this fly, ain't nobody gonna mess up your threads. The Patriot hat and suit are snazzy as all hell, easily the best style that anyone could hope for. I suppose I should come up with a non-tricentennial aesthetic, but I doubt there's any other suits in the game, so I guess it's impossible to achieve. Mutations are a gameplay feature in Fallout 76, and they really add something amazing to the franchise. The first Fallout game I played was Fallout 3, and I'd heard from my friends you could become a mutant. I was so disappointed my first time playing through, as I didn't grow a third arm or become some sort of mutated badass able to conquer the wasteland through acquiring higher and higher doses of rads. For this reason, I'm not including a mutations section on this build. This build will be played differently depending on which platform you're playing on. If you're on console, you'll be using a controller and pressing buttons, using analog sticks to move around, and triggers for your weapons. If on PC, you'll probably need a mouse and keyboard to play the game. Once you've mastered this aspect, you'll then want to actually work on using the character effectively. Despite the gargantuan task of being competent within a video game, I'll try and help out. My best advice would be to use your hatchet at range and focus on guns when the enemy is right up in your face. This ensures you only miss around 80% of your shots, which in turn helps to conserve weapon condition. The Patriot had a very dark and intriguing segment of his life. One that was shrouded in mystery and death. Unfortunately, it's less than a month in total, so let's not worry about that and just tick off his basic life events. He was born inside of a vault, most likely Vault 76, although I can't tell you that for certain. After he was born, he was a baby. Before that, he wasn't. Because he was born, he was then alive, which allowed him to grow up. As he grew up, it became apparent that he had a high agility stat but a low intelligence, whilst everything else was more middling comparatively. This was incredibly convenient for me, as it reinforces the special stats which I chose for this build, and helps to justify those choices further. He wasn't able to use weapons within the vault, so only became proficient with the hatchet, 10mm pistol and laser pistol by age 5. Giving these weapons to an infant could be seen as dangerous, but fortunately the Patriot's parents were Americans with high-paying jobs, so there wasn't anything to really worry about. As he grew up, he was fortunate enough to be gifted a camera, which he used throughout the time he spent within the vault. These aren't photos he took, these are ones I took, but mine are much better than his, so I figured you'd rather see these instead. As time went on, it came closer and closer to Reclamation Day. This is pretty standard for time, as it has the tendency to keep moving forwards at the same pace. When it reached Reclamation Day, it still carried on after that, but the Patriot was no longer inside of the vault. Instead, he had been kicked out by his robot butlers and told to reclaim America, a place he had never been to and shouldn't really have any ties to. Fortunately, he was heavily indoctrinated with several recitals of the national anthem each and every day. That seemed like a good enough reason for him to be called the Patriot. If you've got anything else you'd like to add to this backstory, please leave it in the comments below. All suggestions will of course be added into the canon for this build, and will become an established piece of lore within the Fallout franchise. We now reach the outro. This is the section where I'm supposed to ask you to do a bunch of different YouTube-based stuff in order to try and boost how well the video performs, and therefore help it to make enough money that I can continue to make some money. That, or I plug my Patreon in the hope that you'll be willing to share some of your hard-earned money each month, giving me a more stable revenue platform with far less fluctuation than ad revenue provides. Some of the more cynical viewers out there might also see this as the part of the video where I try and push it over the 10-minute mark. This allows for more ads to be put on the video, which in turn yields more profits from it. Although that is a somewhat sensible option for me to take, I don't actually know how long the video is going to be until I get onto the edit itself. I record all of these sections individually, which makes the editing and recording a little easier for me, but it makes it kind of tricky to work out just how long a video is going to be. For instance, this is currently 1 minute and 3 seconds with stuff needing to be cut out. I just reached the bottom of the 5th page on writing the script, and I think it's normally about 6 pages for 10 minutes, but that does depend on the speed I'm talking at and how much I ramble on. This video had some very fast talking on it, so it's going to be much less. Unless I just ramble now. I'm not reading from a script at this point, I'm just rambling. For example, this is the most rambling outro I've ever done, so this is going to be a long section, but most people will probably leave at. If you're still watching, you're one of a very small number of viewers who are either finding this entertaining or don't feel like switching to another video. Either way, thanks for sticking around. If you've got anything else you think I should add in these outros, let me know. My fingers are starting to get stiff from all this typing, so I think I'll end it here. Although at this point, I'm not writing the script anymore, I'm recording it, so that's no longer relevant. My fingers feel fine, I'm also wearing gloves. Standard builds resume next week. Craziness has concluded.